Hi everybody, I'm Samantha from Lemon and the C, where I help creatives and small businesses stand out online through branding and website design. I hope you've been enjoying these inspired online interviews as much as I've enjoyed filming them and getting to know people. And I have a couple of great ones that I still have coming up, and I'm planning on getting some more lined up after that. So recently I just talked with Kayla Hollatz of KaylaHollatz.com, and we discussed her community, which started out as Create Lounge, and the business that she's transitioning into. It was great to talk to her and see the passion that she has for helping people build community online and really connecting with one another in a substantial way. She loves helping people build collaborations and really getting to talk with everyone. And so her interview communicates that passion, and she's got some great courses and one-on-one work coming out as well. So I'm sure that you're going to love my conversation with her, and you should definitely check out her community. They're on Twitter every Wednesday. She sends out some great emails for her newsletter, and she's got so much going on that you should definitely be a part of if you are a creative entrepreneur or just a creative individual anyway. So let's just have you introduce yourself for everybody that's watching, what you do and where they can find you online and everything. It's probably the best way to go.
Sure. So hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Samantha, for having me on here. I'm so excited to share a little bit more about my story with all of you. So for those of you who may not have been introduced to me before, my name is Kayla Hollatz, and I help creative bloggers and entrepreneurs make a killer impression online with seriously actionable content. And I also help them build sustainable organic communities with a pulse. And a lot of you may have seen me around Twitterland a few times because I host a Twitter chat, which is called #CreateLounge. And we meet every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. And I started that back in January of this year. And it's just really blown up and kind of grown on its own. And it's been really, really fun to see so many people be a part of it. So I would love to invite you, if you're a creative blogger and entrepreneur watching this, I'd love for you guys to come and join us for Create Lounge soon. But yeah, I am somebody who right now is kind of in the position where I have a full-time job at a PR agency, but I'm also building this side hustle right now. And I'm just really excited to talk a little bit more about it as we kind of go more into this video chat.
All right, awesome. So how did you start your blog and your community, even though you were working full-time?
Sure. So if I go back more towards the beginning, of course it's a longer story, but I'll definitely make it short. So when I first started blogging, I actually went into blogging for PR professionals because that was what I was going into for school. And so that was really great. And I had actually launched a blog with a friend at that point. And unfortunately, she ended up going into a different career path, and we were in different places. So we ended up dissolving that, but luckily still have a really great friendship. And after that, I quickly launched another blog because I was like, I'm spending so much time on this and I love it so much, I have to launch something else. So then when I launched something else, I still did it very PR focused, and then decided to shift a little bit more into something that was more broad, like creativity wise. So I was talking a lot about my poetry, which is something that I do outside of both my side hustle and my job, which is one of my biggest passions. And just a few other things, and really just taking on this creative lifestyle type blog. And I really found that I missed talking about the blogging and the social media and all of that. And I found that really what happened was I needed to shift who my audience was. And so I started to look, who do I really enjoy talking to? Who lights me up? And who do I want to spend all of my hours outside of work talking to? That ended up being creative bloggers and entrepreneurs. And I feel like I knew that quite a bit before, but kind of taking a step back to again shift to where I am now and where I've been for almost a year now. It's just been really incredible to see how kind of quickly I've been able to really build my platform and grow not only Create Lounge, but just the rest of my community as a whole, after I was able to kind of find that sweet spot and run with it.
Yeah. So I know you talk about a lot about building community. So is that what you think your passion for what you're doing is, or is there something else that drives you?
Absolutely. So I would say community is definitely the biggest thing. And I've always been really passionate about community, even when I was blogging for PR professionals and when I was doing just the general creative stuff. What I found is what has always stayed constant with me is community building. No matter what I've done, and even with poetry, I feel like I have a great writing community too. So it was one of those things where when I was starting to think about what makes me different, because I knew that I was not just a blogger who blogs about blogging, right? Like I knew that I had something else to offer people and I had a lot more value. And so when I really started to think about, okay, where have I kind of positioned myself already? Really has been as a community leader who can help other people build communities of their own, and also that we can all share communities and kind of build each other up in the process and foster a lot of genuine support and encouragement. And so that's really where a lot of it had started. And of course I started blogging because, you know, I really wanted to flex those writing muscles. I've always been a writer. So that's where a lot of my passion comes from too. But community building, especially online, has just been, I would say, the biggest driving force behind everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think it's really great that you really know what that is. And so everything you do fits into accomplishing that.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say for anybody who's kind of wondering, oh, do I want to have this platform or that platform? I would definitely say that's the best thing moving forward, is if you can kind of find that sweet spot where your niche and your audience kind of aligns with each other, then if you can just go full steam ahead and make sure that every piece of content, whether it be your blog posts or videos or audios or whatever it ends up being, as long as your content is always going to hit on that point, you're going to make sure that you're going to keep building that thought leadership, and then your community is going to come along with that.
Yeah. So how have you seen your community help you grow, and then how's it helped other people grow?
That's a really awesome question. Honestly, I say that I could not be here without my community. Like I probably would have been like, ugh, all of this work outside of work is crazy. But honestly, like my community definitely keeps me going, and they constantly supply me with feedback, which really helps me take my content to the next level, because it's great for me to sit down and write. But when I actually get feedback from them of like, oh, I think that, you know, we haven't seen enough resources in this specific area or that specific area, it really helps me say, oh, okay, like I know how it fits in with how I've positioned myself, and I'm going to write this now. And so then I can constantly be giving them great content that they're going to want to keep coming back for, and they want to get behind. So that's really how they've kind of helped me. And yeah, just honestly being cheerleaders, like feeling like somebody's in your corner when you're doing something online, I think is so important, because a lot of us feel like blogging is kind of more of a solo activity. It's us and our laptop. But I think that when we really invest in community, we're able to connect with a lot of other people, start growing friendships, and then blogging does not become an activity that you do alone anymore then. Like I am on video calls almost every single day with different bloggers. I'm constantly talking to people, and I absolutely love it, because to me, that's what blogging is all about. But as far as where I have seen the community kind of growing and helping one another, is there's a lot of collaborations that have come out, especially from my Twitter chat community at Create Lounge. It's just been really incredible to see people launch blogs together. We've even seen people start to launch business ventures together. I mean, it's really incredible that it's just, when people have a home that they feel like they can come back to and they can meet people that are just like them, it's really awesome to see that grow. And I honestly would say that Create Lounge is not really my like, it's not like something I own. Like I truly do believe that now that it's taken on a life of its own, it's kind of all of ours, all of these regular people that are constantly investing in it. It's just really great to see it just naturally grow and have so many people that are so passionate about it that they take on the mission themselves.
Yeah, that's great. So how did you get started with this? Because I mean, Twitter chats are really big now. There's like lists full of them that you can do, but how did you sort of get started doing all of that?
Yes. So back when I was in college, because I graduated last December, But when I was in college and blogging for PR professionals, Twitter was definitely like my main spot. And I would definitely say it's still my favorite platform. But when I was on Twitter, I was doing a lot of Twitter chats for about a year and a half. I was a participant in quite a few different ones for PR pros. And while I thought that was great, once I kind of found and settled into this audience of like really wanting to write and connect with creative bloggers and entrepreneurs like myself, I was kind of looking around and did not find any chats at all that fit that. And I just saw this huge gap where I knew that with graduating in December and knowing that my schedule would allow me to be a little bit more consistent so I could have something that may be weekly. And it seemed to be a no-brainer because most of my connections at that point had come from Twitter, and I really, really enjoyed participating. So I was like, why not just host my own? And it really came together that simply, honestly. It just came from me seeing that there was a void and me trying to fill it quickly with a really great chat and making sure that I took all of the mental notes that I had thought about while I was participating in other chats as a member and bringing that to how do I want to position my community to be different. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we've been able to grow a lot, because although there are quite a few chats that have now kind of cropped up, which I think is awesome, I'm a regular member at quite a few of them. But at the same time, I still feel like Create Lounge, because we really did start this movement of more chats for creative bloggers and entrepreneurs. I feel like we were able to really kind of start to get the ball rolling, so to speak. And it's just been really awesome to see people have like stuck with us for 10, 11 months. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I get these sometimes too. When I participate, we really have to pay attention or just focus on like one or two people.
Yes. Yes, it definitely is a very fast moving chat. And I know a lot of people talk about that a lot, but of course there are always ways to make some of these more higher volume chats. You can still find ways to kind of make those intimate connections. And I think that's what's so great going into it is you can find people that, because we are for creative bloggers and entrepreneurs, you're going to find designers there. You're going to find photographers there. You're going to find people that are lifestyle bloggers. I mean, it really does just run the whole gamut. So anybody that you're looking to find really within this creative niche, you're probably going to be able to find there. And it's a really great way for people to start connecting with each other, to think about collaborations. And it's just really fun to see other people partner with each other, as well as being able to partner with those people myself.
Yeah. So how do you think that when you started, you said you wanted this chat to be a little bit different than other things you had said. So how do you think you managed that? Like, how is it different than other things?
Definitely. That's an awesome question, and one that I definitely think is very valid. So what I think kind of sets us apart from a lot of different other chats is that we truly aren't just a Twitter chat community anymore. Yes, Twitter chat is really like our home base. But at the same time, you'll see people that are using the hashtag all throughout the week. There's people that are sharing updates all throughout the week. But I think one of the biggest ways that we kind of extend it beyond just that hour of time on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central is I'm constantly looking for opportunities during the chat to be able to extend that community. So for example, one of our chats that we did one on writing awesome about pages, which is something that can sometimes be a hard thing for all of us. I mean, everybody knows it's hard to write about yourself, right? Absolutely. It can be pretty tough. But we saw a lot of people that were saying, oh, like I wish I had feedback on my site, but I don't have it. And so really what I kind of saw there was an opportunity for me to kind of step in as the community leader and say, hey, how about on this specific tweet, you guys all reply if you want feedback on your websites. We all got websites. There were about 70 people that wanted their about pages reviewed, which I thought was awesome. And so what I did is I just kind of created a list, kind of paired people up, and then also said, of course, you can send more feedback. And I made sure that for every single one of those 70 people that at least I was one person that was going to be sending them feedback. So I went through all of them and gave them all detailed feedback. And so to me, that's just one example, but that's kind of how I have made it different, is because I'm constantly looking for those ways to to make it extend beyond that hour. And that's just what I'm really passionate about, because even though a Twitter chat is awesome, I like something that's living and breathing all the time.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I love that you then made those connections and helped people, because sometimes we see people online or in a community and then we don't really know how to continue reaching out to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's great. Sometimes you need just that push of somebody saying, here's who you're paired with, now go do this.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, when you're connecting people, not just on Twitter, but then now people are emailing each other, and then they might start thinking, oh, like what else do you do after they're reading an about page? Because especially for an about page, you're learning all about that person. So maybe when you're reviewing someone, you end up finding someone that you want to collaborate with or learn a little bit more about and jump on a video call. And everything really starts from that point. So almost in, like, I guess I could say, like a little bit of like a sneaky leader way. Like, I'm getting people in different ways to like start talking to each other really naturally and start making those connections, even if they may not know it yet.
So I'm interested to know, like, what would you recommend to other people who are looking to find their online community, either someplace they fit in, or if they felt like they needed to start something on their own?
Yeah, definitely. I get this question quite a bit, and I've actually thought about different things, I'll just say, in the future that I may have around this topic, because I do think it is something that's definitely worth talking about. Is even though Twitter chats is where I've been able to really grow, Twitter chats are not right for everybody, right? And there are so many different community platforms, and it seems like every month we see something else come up that people are starting to utilize. And I think it's really great. And I would say, honestly, I have a blog post about it, so I'll definitely make sure that I send it to Samantha to link in the blog post. But I really go deep down into it and talk about like looking at where your strengths, what your strengths are, and kind of acknowledging your weaknesses as well. What things do you enjoy doing? What lights you up? Like, because I know a lot of people, some people shy away from video content, whereas other people like really, really love it. So somebody who shies away from video content might want to do something like Instagram or Pinterest and those types of visual things that are a little bit more behind the scenes, whereas somebody who likes video content may be wanting to do like lots of webinars, or maybe they want to do Periscope. I mean, it really depends on kind of where your comfort level is, as well as making sure that you're always like thinking about where your audience already lives. Because if I were, to start, let's just say like an Instagram chat, and I would say of all the platforms, Instagram is probably one of my not as influential platforms. And so for my audience, it wouldn't necessarily make sense with where they're at right now. I mean, everybody that I have really met has most of the time come from Twitter. So it just made sense for me to implement something that was on that platform already. So I think looking at that is really important too, with where you start thinking about where you can grow, kind of grow your own community. And the way, also another thing I would say is that with all of these different platforms, I would make sure that everything, of course, points back to your mothership, which is that website of yours. And I think it's really great to have multiple extensions of your blog community, right? But making sure that everything goes back and supports that overall vision.
So how do you do that for your website? How does, all of that social media and all of the community lead back to your website?
Absolutely. So I would say, even just as a more simple top line example, the same interaction that you get from me in the Twitter chat is the same interaction that you're going to get from me in my blog comments. It's the same interaction you're going to get with me when you email me. It's the same as when we're going to be talking in a Facebook group. So no matter where you meet me, I'm still going to be talking about the same things, coming across the same way. And I think that that's just a really great way to make sure that everything goes back to that overall mission that you're talking about on your website.
So has your following, like from Twitter, followed you over to some of the other social media platforms?
Absolutely. Actually, what I've been seeing quite a bit now is a lot of people are starting to be introduced to me by Periscope, actually. And I think what's so great about Periscope is it is integrated with Twitter. So a lot of the times, of course, my Twitter following were the first people to kind of follow me over to Periscope. There's also a lot of people that are kind of discovering me and my mission over on Periscope, and then end up finding themselves over on Twitter, and then coming to the Twitter chat, which has been really cool to see that it almost, there's people that kind of come as a part of it on both ends, and kind of crisscross in different ways. So yeah, there's always ways to connect with someone on one platform, and a lot of times, if that connection is really great, they're going to want to follow you on basically all of your other platforms too. And I think that that's when you know that you're being a really great leader, is that people want you in their life in all these different ways.
Yeah. So you've been blogging and doing these Twitter chats and building your community for quite a while. So, and a lot of people talk about, you know, you need to get your services out there and start monetizing. So why did you decide to wait to work on that?
Yeah, I would say like one of my most popular blog posts was honestly the one where I talked about how I didn't monetize in my first year. And I think that there's a lot of people, like you said, that would say like, you definitely should make sure that you're like starting with that business and doing that. And really, I personally was really glad that the way that I did it with being a community leader, that I invested in my community purely because I wanted to build that community of people that I saw a void of. And now that I'm thinking and will be launching my services in early December, which I'm really excited about, for community building, one-on-one consultation packages, which I just think it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I've already been working with some clients before even launching, and it's just making me so excited. But yes, with that, of course, I think what's really great about starting with that community before monetizing is you have a lot of people that know you already. They've had multiple interactions with you. And I think that that's a huge reason why I've been able to start booking clients before I've even launched, because even without a sales page or anything, people are already emailing me, letting me know that they want to partner with me, which is an amazing feeling. And I know that if I would have just launched services right away and wouldn't have had that community, many people probably wouldn't know who I am. So I know a lot of people will say, oh, you know, you've been putting all this work, you know, for a while without monetization. Like, do you ever feel like it wasn't worth it? And I could not say, like, no, like, it was totally, absolutely worth it. And I attribute it to like really the reason why I'm here right now. And it really sets me up, I think, in a good place going into 2016 with kind of ramping up monetization. So definitely don't feel the pressure to like have these big numbers right away. And I think a lot of times that can really distract us from the important part of blogging, which is making sure that we're catering to our audience, but not only that, building a community around it of loyal people, because those people at the end of the day are going to be the people that are going to be much more willing to invest in you, not only with their time, but also with their money when you're ready.
Absolutely. Because now you've got all these people that know you, they've interacted, and they're ready to go and work with you. They already feel like they know you. They don't have to do all the investigative stuff.
Exactly. Absolutely. They don't have to say like, is this person credible? Like, does this person have authority? Like, they already know you, and they kind of would know what your interaction with them on a one-on-one call for services, let's say, for example, they know what that would feel like because they've already talked with you before. So I just think that that's really important.
Yeah. So when you started all of this community stuff, was that really small? Like, did you start out with a small audience and have to really build it up to where it is? Or did you have a lot of people jump on at the beginning?
You know, that is a really good question. So when I started with PR Pros, I'm so thankful that there are so many people that I had met, you know, like almost 2 years ago when I started blogging for PR Pros. There's a lot of them that have followed with me through all of these shifts, which I attribute a lot to just the community that has been built kind of around all of these things. Even though it has shifted, people have still stayed with me. So I would say when I launched Create Lounge, I still had, you know, like quite a few people that were willing to participate. But I would say really around, I want to say like maybe around March or April, when a lot of people started realizing that like this is really the only chat that's out there. And then there were other chats that were starting to come up at that time. But a lot of the times what they would do is they would give shout outs to our chat. So even more of their communities would be finding us, as well as joining into theirs. And I was also doing a lot of co-host partnerships with people where they would be bringing in more people. And I think just naturally, as you keep like picking topics that people love and people start sharing it and really investing in the community and extending it, I think that's when I started to put like the most amount of effort into extending it, like with what we were talking about with the about page feedback and that sort of thing. I think all of that just kind of worked to really ramp it up. And now it's been incredible because for about 6 months, we've been like trending every single week, and like people are constantly coming. I make sure that I welcome everybody, and I seriously don't even get through all of my like initial intros until like halfway into the chat, because that's like, it's just amazing to me how fast it's grown. But I love that even though like it is a very quickly moving chat, that hasn't deterred people from wanting to be a part of what we're all doing.
Yeah. So, and you're on Twitter and you're on Periscope now, but do you have any of your community on any of the other social medias? Like, do you have a Facebook group or a Slack channel or anything?
That's a really great question. Those are all things that I've kind of thought about. I know a lot of people have been asking for a lot of different extensions of Create Lounge. They're like, we need it to be something that, you know, that we can go into anytime. Or a lot of people are even asking for like a conference or live meetups or something. And it's really incredible. And so that's kind of where I'm at for 2016, thinking about intentionally where do we want to grow this, rather than just saying, oh, I want to be in this place and this place and this place, and spreading ourselves too thin. I know that we have done a really great thing just on Twitter chats right now. And so I'm really thinking in the back end right now, behind the scenes, of how exactly we want to grow this. But there's a lot of opportunities, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of that would be great, because people really want to be able to be in a community like yours and be in there more than just once a week for an hour.
Absolutely. And so even though we do extend it, there are, of course, many other ways that we can extend it far beyond and being more visible all throughout publicly and not just privately, kind of doing these things for our regulars. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So stay tuned.
So I'm interested to know how you sort of find the balance between doing your blogging stuff on the side and working your full-time job.
Yes, it honestly is very, I would say it can be pretty difficult. And to be completely transparent, I work about 50 plus hours at my PR agency job every week. And then just about any time that I'm not at my job, I'm constantly cranking out content and talking with people, always on my phone. And, you know, I really do try to have a little bit more balance, and I'm hoping to do more of that coming into 2016 as well. Especially since I do have so many outside interests like poetry, and I love hiking, and every single Sunday I'm like super upset if I can't watch my Vikings play and watch like football games all day. And so just like making time for those little things, I think is important. But at the same time, I am somebody that just really is fueled by all of this blogging and all the community things that I'm doing, that to me, it really doesn't feel like work. So I don't feel burned out all that often. But I think what's really important for anybody who's listening that sometimes can feel burnt out, like just make sure that you're always listening to your body and to yourself, because I feel like your whole being will tell you when you need to take a break. And I took a hiatus when I was moving into my new apartment. So now I'm in my bachelorette pad, which I love. But I did take like a little break because I knew that I needed to focus on other things. And that's really when I was able to look at my monetization strategy. And that's when I decided to shift and really do these one-on-one services and come out right out the gate with this. And so really there are a lot of great things that can come from taking a hiatus, but even just the day-to-day stuff, just make sure that, yeah, you're listening to yourself and what you need and making sure that you're giving yourself a lot of self-love. Yeah,
that's so true. Because I think if you feel yourself getting burnout and you don't do anything about it, you hit that point where you can't do anything, and it's so much longer to recover.
Absolutely. And it can almost feel like it's crippling. And I would definitely say, like, do not at all be ashamed if you're feeling burnt out. Like, that is not anything that is on you. It's just that you need to take some time for yourself because you are your number one. And honestly, what I always try to remind myself is people online, they understand. Like, even though you may not think that they do, they truly, truly do. Anytime where I'm just like, you guys, I'm so sorry. Like, I just have so much going on. I cannot get a blog post out this day. I apologize. I'm just going to have to, like, go into the next week. I'll always get people that are like, that's fine. Like, you do you, like, it's totally fine. Like, we all get it, right? Because we've all been in the same exact place. So just, yeah, don't be afraid to announce to your audience if you need to take a break for however long or small it may be.
Yeah. And I think that's a great part of the online community too, is that there are so many people out there that understand, that are going through this alongside of us. They're also trying to run their own businesses and everything. And so everybody gets it.
Definitely. Absolutely.
All right. So when you started out online, you said you had, your PR blog and everything, but what was your biggest struggle getting started with blogging and being online?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think the hardest thing for me when I was first starting, a lot of it was that balance that we were kind of talking about, because I had college and I had a job and then I had this and I had some internships, and yeah, so it was just a lot. But beyond blogging, I would say really trying to make sure that visually I was hitting the mark, because I really am a writer. That is me, and I really love playing around with branding and trying out new things and that stuff. But really, I am a very DIY friendly kind of person. So always making sure that when I was designing my website, was it always being branded? Did people were people able to visit my blog and my website, and did everything kind of make sense? Was I making the best first impression? That's my big thing. And always just making sure that I was at least, wary of that and keeping that in mind no matter what I did. Because I do believe that in the very, very beginning stages that I used like a few different fonts. And I think everybody can kind of said that they were like, oh, we were playing around with fonts and colors and that sort of thing. But it really is important to keep to those signature colors, those signature fonts, and then just making sure that you have a branding style guide. That's really great. So I'm really glad that now I've been able to kind of ramp up my visuals to a place where Pinterest has actually become my top referral of traffic over Twitter, which is absolutely insane to me, because Twitter has always been my highest. And then somehow, like, I switched to vertical images a few months ago, and then Pinterest just shot up. So yeah, it shows that vertical images definitely do work. And branded visuals in general and stuff. But yeah, I would say that was probably more so of my struggle there, and just kind of learning a little bit more about it.
And how do you balance, you do all this writing for your blog, you do all your social media, how do you really figure out how to show who you are on all of that? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I would say that honestly, whenever I tell people, I always feel like it comes off like so silly. But to me, it's been so honestly pretty easy for me to be transparent and vulnerable and open. And I feel like a lot of the reason why I've been able to feel that way is that I've been posting my poetry online for a few years now. And to me, once I share something that comes from that place, like, that is basically the most vulnerable thing that I personally can do with that art form. And so after I was doing that, and I had seen how positive a reaction that I had with the community that I had on my blog, of course, and just seeing people that would just say, hey, like this specific passage like changed my life, or this person saying like, I tattooed this on me, like just crazy things. And I think that's what really gave me the confidence to just make sure that I was always putting my most transparent self out there. And so that's what I try to do no matter where I'm at. So on Instagram, you won't see really styled types photographs. I still think it's super pretty to look at, and I follow a ton of people that are styled, but for my brand personally, I'm very authentic. I'm not going to be giving lots of filters and this and that. And I just make sure that everything like we were talking about before, is an extension of that overall brand that I have. And something that's really helped me, of course, is Periscope, because even though I am a more introverted person, I'm very high energy, but I am introverted, I promise you. And with that, I was a little bit nervous to jump onto Periscope, especially because it's live content. You never know what's going to happen. But it's been really instrumental in making sure that people know really the face behind my overall brand, and getting a chance to talk to the community leader that they're talking to every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. So, yeah.
So in all of this community, have you ever had to deal with people that just were bringing everything down?
That's a really good question, because actually I did a collaborative webinar with Stephanie Shar of the Loudmouth Lifestyle, who's absolutely awesome. And she did a part in the webinar about how to deal with community conflict. And I had noted in the webinar that luckily with my 10-month old Twitter chat community specifically, there haven't really been any types of conflict, which knock on wood, I hope that it continues. It's been awesome for me, of course. But I mean, from time to time, you'll get people that are misusing the hashtag and maybe being kind of more so spammy, or there are people that will put very unrelated things in there, and it really happens once in a blue moon. And it really happens more now that we've been trending. So of course, a lot of people will see it in their sidebar and kind of say oh, Create Lounge is trending. Okay, I'm just going to use the heck out of that, with all of my content and that sort of thing. But really, for me, what it is making sure that the feed is curated with really great content. And so I'll just write out a very, very nicely worded, of course, simple tweet to some people. If I see them constantly doing it and it's a regular thing, I'll just say, hey, this hashtag is really for our community. I'd really love for you to join us sometime, because we meet every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. But really, that's what this hashtag is for. And usually when that happens, most people are like, oh, okay, I'll totally join. And then all the rest of their content from there on out is very specific to who we are and what we do. So I think really just extending that olive branch. And I mean, you're always going to have a few trolls here and there, and that's best to kind of ignore those types of people. But luckily, we haven't had really any problem with that yet. So it's always good, though, to prepare for that, because I do have a game plan, in my mind for if that were to ever happen. So then if it does happen, I'm not sitting here trying to think about, oh, crisis communications, what am I going to do? But I think that's the PR side of me. I'm always ready for it if it happens.
That's good, and then if you already have a plan, you're not stuck and going, oh my goodness, this person hates me, everything is awful, you just ruined my day.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's so important.
Okay, so is there anything else you wanted to talk about, building communities or any of that before we get into just a couple of closing questions and what you're working on?
I think we've been able to tell my brand story really well already. So I'm excited to kind of close it up with some good questions.
Okay. So what advice would you give to people who are just starting out online?
Oh, I would say, I mean, there's so many pieces of advice. I could keep you here all day, but I won't. So I would say that one of my biggest pieces of advice that I like to tell people is really my personal mantra with community building has always been names over numbers. And I've really built myself on that platform. And I hope that other people are also building themselves on that platform too, because it's something that I think is really important that we all share. And I know a lot of people have done this with being in Create Lounge. And what's so important about treating people like names over numbers is then we're not looking at how many followers we have, how much income we're making. I mean, and how many page views you have, I think a lot of the times we'll feel oh, once we get to X amount of money or X amount of page views, then we're successful bloggers. And that's just not, I don't think that that's the right way to look at it. And I think it's always important to make sure that you're keeping on a name or first name, for what am I trying to say? A first name basis. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, a first name basis with all of the people in your community, and just making sure that you're making that small step towards a very personal connection, because it does really go a long way when you're calling somebody by their first name rather than being like, hey, you, like, it's great to see you. Like when you actually are talking with people using their names, everybody likes to hear their own name, of course. So yeah, just making sure that you're prioritizing people over profit or over traffic or anything like that. And I think that that's really important, so then we don't get bogged down with all of those numbers and feeling like we have to hit a certain point, when really when we're beginning, we should be investing more into people than anything else, because those are the people that are going to help you build those numbers naturally. But you're only going to be able to do that in an organic way. And besides, none of us want to come online and feel icky. And so to me, that's the most non-icky way to kind of jump into some of those bigger numbers like traffic and a higher income. But again, it comes more naturally when you put people first.
Yeah. So is there anybody that you admire online and that you follow, like really particularly?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people, especially in my niche, that I like to follow. I mean, of course, Regina of byregina.com is amazing. The amount of content she can churn out is incredible. I don't even know how she does it. I mean, the stuff that she gives away for free is just absolutely incredible. And she has been somebody that I've followed for quite a while, and I kind of consider her somewhat of a mentor too, because we have been able to talk quite a few times over video chats and that sort of stuff. So she's been really great in being instrumental in showing me that somebody who's doing what we're hoping to do, you can really build a profitable platform doing so. And so that's just been really great moving forward. A few other people that I'd love to just give like really quick shout outs to. Maya Elias is really awesome, especially with her use of Periscope. I love what Mariah Kaz is doing with collaborative webinars. She's awesome. Jen Carrington of Jenny Purr is really awesome. And a lot of what she does with her one-on-one services is something that I definitely look up to, and something that I think she's building communities and doing really game-changing things that way. I think Sarah Morgan from ExoSarah is amazing. I love all of the things that she's doing with her e-courses. And yeah, there's just so many people doing incredible things out there that I could give you a full list. But those are some people that I very regularly follow. And I would like to give a special shout out to one of my closest blogging and business besties. I've become really, really close with Devin Danielle. She's a really awesome brand designer, and I love that girl to death. We are honestly constantly chatting with each other. We've built just an incredible friendship over these past few months, and I met her through Create Lounge. I would not know her if it was not for my chat, and she always calls herself our unofficial brand ambassador for Create Lounge. And so it's just been really awesome to connect with her, and she's been really like probably the most instrumental person in helping me really get this business ready to launch. So definitely have to give a huge shout out to her because I love her.
That's awesome. And I love that she came to you through that community. You know, it really is something that you can build relationships out of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like she is somebody that I talk to every single day, like almost every hour of the day. So it's been really incredible to have and really find a friendship like that, where it feels like we click so well, and have that come from this bigger community that I've built. Good.
So what are your goals for the next 6 months?
Oh, well, I mean, the biggest goal is, of course, to just launch this dang thing. And I'm really excited about it. So early December is when I'm going to be launching my one-on-one community building consultation services. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be tailoring to kind of 2 different areas. I'll be tailoring kind of to bloggers who are looking to kind of figure out their niche, their audience, their voice, and then we can kind of start to talk about where, like we were talking about before, that where question of like, where do we build our content platform? And then for the other group is the bloggers who who are really have already built a pretty great community and are really looking to just kind of up that. And so we're going to be talking about pitching collaborations, and we're going to be looking at copy and messaging. Is it hitting the mark? And of course, starting to introduce monetization in a very non-icky way and natural way, especially since they've already built up a community. So I'm really excited. I think both groups are going to be really, really awesome to work with. And something that I've learned a lot coming into it is just being really, really open to customization, because everybody's going to need something a little bit different. And I think that's what I love so much about these one-on-one sessions, is I get a chance to really tailor exactly what we're talking about, what we're covering exactly to that person. So that's my biggest goal. I've got a few other kind of surprise things that are going to be around this launch that I don't necessarily want to say, but just know that there's going to be 2 pretty big initiatives kind of around it that you can look for in later November leading up to the launch. So I'm really excited. But yeah, that's been my biggest goal. And honestly, I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but just getting a little bit more of that balance. And I'm really excited because I'm actually launching my first poetry collection in November, which I'm really excited about. So just making sure that I'm giving a lot of love to that and giving a lot of love to my poetry community, as well as this blogging community that I've built, and making sure that I keep investing in those outside interests, because those are still going to be what's going to keep me creative for all of these other things that I'm doing on my blog. So yeah, it's probably more goals than you needed to know, but yes, that's what I have. That's what I have going on.
Awesome. You've got a ton of stuff coming up.
Yeah, I'm really excited though. It's one of those things where you work behind the scenes so much where you're like, I'm just ready to like birth this, like just go and be free.
Yeah. So is there anything, I mean, pretty much we've talked about your one-on-one services, your poetry collection is coming out. Is there anything else you're working on right now?
You know, I would say that's kind of the biggest thing, along with those kind of little surprise and delight features that I'm going to have around my services. But I would definitely say, as a sneak peek, definitely in 2016, you can probably expect me to branch out into passive income products. So I won't say anything more than that, but that's kind of what I'm looking to do in 2016. So I'm really excited.
All right, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing all of that come out and see what you're going to do with everything.
Yes, thank you so much, Samantha, for taking some time with me today and kind of helping me share a little bit more of my brand story with your own community on your blog. And yeah, I would just love to just open the invitation to anybody who's watching. I would love to have a chance to connect with you, or even see you in Create Lounge. It would be super fun to connect with you that way as well. So make sure, you know, you can always give me a tweet. I'm Kayla_Hollatz. Or you can always send me an email too, which is on the contact page of my website. So yeah, just know I am always open to conversation. So I'm ready to meet you.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm so glad you could join us for this. I think this is going to be a really interesting interview for people to watch and just get an idea of what kind of communities are out there, and get to see the face behind your community that's really been growing and has been so influential in what everybody's doing.
Yes, and thank you so much for letting me have a chance to kind of share a little bit more about my community too, because of course, I would not be complete without all the people that have been really, really investing in me over the years. So big shout out to anybody who's watching who has been a part of that.
All right. So I just want to thank everybody that's watching, and we got a couple more interviews that are going to come up in the later weeks. So I think it'll be really exciting. I've got a lot of people lined up that I'm excited to share with everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and I think that these interviews are a really awesome way to build community too. So congrats to you, Samantha. I think they're awesome.
Yeah, thanks.